Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Lisa, and today we have another Cardinal project for you. I did one a few weeks back, and boy, it was popular. So I hope you like this one just as much. I'm using a piece of MDF board that's been cut to 8 by 10, and I'm using my matte medium to put down my collage papers. I'm using some of this wonderful journal paper that was given to me, and I cherish it. I'm using a credit card to smooth it out, and I also want to rip a little bit of the edges. I want some of that texture to show through on the background. I had a plan for this. I wasn't quite sure, but I was just having fun creating. And I emptied that matte medium, and now I'm just using a little bit more from a different container, making sure everything is adhered down to my MDF board. This is a 1/2-inch piece of MDF board, and we're making sure that it's nice and stuck down. I'm going to use the scraps that I pulled off from the one side on the left, and I'm going to adhere them to the right and the bottom, just adding some more texture. I'm going to use some stencils by Petit, and I'll list everything below in the description area. Here is the Cardinal that I'm going to use, and I'm just kind of eyeballing where I'm going to put that. I'm using some Deco Arts crackle paste and Sean's lace stencil to create some texture in the background. And I really love what it does for the piece. I just had to make sure that I was leaving some area for that Cardinal because I'm going to be stenciling that, and it's hard to do it over the textured area. I'm using some scraps of my wallpaper that I had from a kitchen project. I really like this old-fashioned tile. It looks great in my kitchen too. So don't throw any of those scraps away. Make sure you save them for your crafting. It makes a really great background for this project. Adding some more matte medium to adhere that wallpaper. And I could have used matte gel because this is a little thicker, but it was going down just great. So I'm happy how it turned out. I'm going to use some gesso, and as you can see, most of my containers are emptying out quickly this holiday season. Maybe Santa will bring me some new ones. I'm going to use 2 parts of this stencil, and I just wanted to cover up some of that, and I just wanted that small bird on the branch. I'm going to use my archival ink and my wonderful stencil brushes, and again I said I will leave everything linked below so that you can have the names and descriptions. Covering up the little Cardinal because I just want to use my brown archival ink in potting soil, and I didn't want it to go through the Cardinal image. Now I'm using my red, which has been a favorite this year. It's by Simon Says Stamp, and it's called Schoolhouse Red, and it's a dye ink. It just really makes some nice Cardinal color. Again, I'm using my Post-it note tape, and I am covering up part of that top stencil. I'm not going to be using that Cardinal at the top. We're actually going to be using this napkin, and I wanted to use this napkin just to give you a couple more techniques in this project, how to use your stencils and napkins. And also I liked the size of that Cardinal. It was a little bit bigger than the one on the stencil. So I used the stencil and the potting soil to create my branch, which is going to hold my nice big Cardinal. Separating the sheets of napkin, and now I'm just going to use a wet paintbrush and cut out the cardinal as I like to do with the paintbrush. I'm also going to be cutting out those berries. I think that it's a real nice addition to the branch, and I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to try and take them off now or wait to the end. I was still kind of thinking about it. So I'm just setting it aside and going with Sean's stencil here, and it is called Pine Bough and Holly, I believe, and using my archival ink pad, and this color is Library Green. Using it on both sides and adding those pine boughs, giving those birds some little area to perch on, and I thought maybe I needed something in the bottom also. I'm using my wet baby wipe to wipe off the stencil, and I flipped it over because I wanted the pine bough to go in the opposite direction. So that worked out real well. Remember that you can flip them over and use them on the other side, and they will work just fine. I'm liking how it's looking, and I'm going to use another pine bough for down in the bottom. I didn't want it to be too stark down there and have a big blank spot, so I'm using another stencil by Sean, Petit, and I will link her channel and her store in the description box with everything else. I really liked this stencil, and I've used it a lot this year. It is a keeper, that's for sure. I've even ordered a second one that I've been using for my classes. I was trying to see there if I was going to use some of the ivy, but I didn't want it to be too Christmassy. I'm trying to get away from that burnt umber wash, and I thought I would try and do a little blue background. This is a Deco Arts color, and it is a phthalo blue, I believe. Wanted to give it a background where those birds had a little sky behind them. But, of course, we always go back to what we love, and I knew that I needed to use some brown. So I tried to use a fluid acrylic in a gold color, and it just wasn't doing it for me. I needed my burnt umber color, and I thought, well, it's my piece. I'm just going to do it. I add my burnt umber with water, and I make that wash that I love, and I'm going to coat the piece using my spray bottle with water and my brush. And then I was liking the piece. I just really love this color. It's just my color, I guess. So I don't see anything wrong with using it. I'll try and get away from it in the future, but right now I'm still loving it. Just keep putting it on and wiping it off using my spray bottle until it just feels right. You can see all of that texture coming through, and it's really looking great to me. I did notice though that my crackle paste didn't really crackle this time, and I just wonder if maybe I didn't use enough of it or let it dry completely, but it didn't really crackle very much for me. I'm deciding now that I'm going to clean up a bit off of this Cardinal with my wet paintbrush, and I did decide to remove those berries from the Cardinal image just so I could take off more of that napkin. The napkin really did have kind of a yellowish tint to it, and I was thinking that it might have a hard time going transparent when I use my matte medium to adhere it to the piece. So I was trying to avoid that problem before it happened. I'm still going to use the berries because it matches that cardinal real nice in a deep red color. So I'm setting them aside, and I'm going to put down a nice coat of my matte medium, putting down the cardinal, being very careful at this point, and adding a nice coat over the top, smoothing gently with my fingers and trying not to rip the image. I'm just going to adhere those berries, and they went down real nice, and I'm really enjoying how this is working. I was trying to figure out where to put those other berries. I couldn't figure it out, and in the end I put it up on the top right. Now I'm going to put down my sentiment, and I was trying to decide where to put it. It's a big one, and it says believe, so we're going to hold it down nice and firm. We're going to use my archival ink pad, which I got re-inked recently, so it's nice and juicy, and carefully putting it through that great big stencil that says believe. I'm making sure that it's nice and crisp and black. Ooh, I love it. Look how beautiful. I'm going to make sure everything is dry, and we'll come right back. I'm going to cut off my excess paper that's hanging off on the edges, and then I have some acrylic paint on my palette paper there, and I'm going to put down a little bit of water and use my nice thin brush to add in the brown for the branches and the green for the pine boughs. I like to use this finishing touch to make everything look cohesive, and I'm also adding in the leaves to that branch, and I'm making them brown because it's winter time and obviously there aren't any green leaves. We're going to have the green for the pine boughs. So I'm going to work over the whole piece, and we're going to go from there. I will finish this up and get right back to you. Here it is, all complete and dry. Of course, we're going to use our General's charcoal pencil, and we always use the 6B extra soft, not pushing very hard at all, and giving that cardinal and the branches, the berries, and the pine boughs, and even the sentiment, all the shading and shadow that it needs. That little cardinal needed a lot of help here. It looked just like a red blob sitting on a branch, but by adding that black shadows, you definitely can see now that it is a red cardinal. The tail on the cardinal needed a little bit of red paint, and so I added a little bit of that. I put the white drops in the eyes, and the birds just came alive using that black chalk marker that I love so much, and I'm giving it the black edge. I also wanted to put some down in that corner, the top right and the bottom left. I like to make those streaks like that. It looks like the background paper is torn and old. And I was thinking, I really should probably use some of that copper finger wax on that wallpaper and it really made it stand out and shine. It almost looks like Christmas wrapping paper in the corner there. I'm hoping that everyone is enjoying the holiday season and they get to spend some time with their friends and family. I know one of our favorite things to do is go to a friend's house on Christmas Eve, and almost all the festivities are over at that time, and we can just sit and talk and eat some yummy junk food and just have great love with all of our friends. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that we all get through the holidays safe and look forward to the new year. I have great things planned for the new year, and I'm really excited. I hope you are too. Kind of dulling down a little bit of that white that I put on with my gel pen. I didn't want it to be too stark bright. Adding a little bit of chuckle to the edges, and I really love how this turned out. I hope you did too. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't, share, and leave comments, and enjoy this holiday time. Thanks for watching.